Hi, everyone. I'm so excited you're here. I'm going to give everybody a little bit of time to get settled in. And while you're joining us, if you want to just drop in the chat where you're joining us from, I'd love to see where everybody's joining us from. All right, we'll give it another minute. Yay, Virginia, California. I'm in New York and it's still freezing. Yay, New York. I was just there on Monday and it is freezing. Oh, New Orleans. The coldest, Amy. Ah, the temperatures. France, we love it. Yeah. To the people in California, let's keep that temperature to ourselves, shall we? All right, guys, let's get started. I want to be very mindful of everybody's time. So, again, if you want to drop in the chat where you're joining us from as people slowly start to arrive, that'd be great. All right, we're going to dive on in here. I think we're at a good number to get started. Oh, wine country. All right. Hi, everyone. I am so excited that you're here. We're going to get started. I am Leanne Mazzarisi. I'm the executive director of brand operations at Whitestone. I lead our art and marketing teams, which means our days are spent watching culture closely and turning those insights into creative direction. I spent almost a decade in the fashion industry in merchandising, production, and design services. And somewhere along the way, I became obsessed with consumer behavior, not just what people say that they want, but how they actually live, shop, and make decisions. That background is what shapes how we think about trends at Whitestone. At Whitestone, trend isn't about chasing what's next. It's about understanding why it's happening. We study the cultural undercurrents so we could spot the shifts that quietly influence what people will want tomorrow before it's obvious. Forecasting helps us do a couple things: cut through the noise, invest wisely, create merchandise that feels relevant, on brand, and purpose driven. And because better merchandise isn't meant to be forgotten or discarded, it's meant to be kept, used, and remembered. All right, the trends that define 2026 are here, and I'm so excited. Most brands don't recognize them yet because they're looking for what's new instead of looking for cultural signals. So here's what you guys are going to walk away with today: the cultural shifts and evolving consumer behaviors shaping 2026, the aesthetic movements gaining momentum, and real product application, not theory. So before we dive in, we're going to jump into a poll. All right. So for our poll today, I'm going to read to you like Vanna White. Why are you here today? I need 2026 inspiration. I need product ideas I can actually execute. I want to monetize our merch without losing our brand DNA, or I'm exploring working with Whitestone and want to understand how you think. Everybody wants to lock in a vote. I'd love to see what you're here for. Oh, product inspiration. We love to see it. A few people looking to work with us. That's exciting. And some product ideas. Great. Love to see it. All right, let's dive in to our 2026 stories. All right. So for the first one, we have Quiet Revival. Quiet Revival marks our shift into an era of cultural rest. We first introduced this trend back in October, and if you joined us for our first webinar, you actually got to see an early look about how this story was starting to take shape. We're seeing digital exhaustion turn into disconnect, choosing movements of stillness on purpose and craving connection that feels real, grounded, and restorative. In a 2026 survey by Study Finds, 63% of Gen Z say they intentionally unplug and cut their screen time as a way to feel more present and balanced. Throughout this webinar, you'll see QR codes. Feel free to scan those, save those articles, use them for your own presentations. But we made sure to put those in there for you guys, so check those out. We're watching analog's behavior show up as a status of calm, reading, puzzles, crafting, and game nights. Even TikTok has fueled the analog bag culture, which is a culture of people carrying a tote of offline hobbies as physical replacements of doom scrolling. Views for hashtag analog bag has exceeded 120 million on TikTok ever since CC Campbell's viral analog bag trend, which is validating demand for phone-free living. Play is scaling, and according to WGSN, projections indicate that the board games market will expand to 32 billion by 2032 as play becomes a tool for enhancing cognitive, physical, and emotional skills. So what does that mean for brands? This changes how brands show up. The era ahead isn't louder messaging, it's quieter impact. The brands that win will create rituals instead of just products. Quiet Revival merch is permission to unplug. Finally. Puzzles, decks of cards, journals, handwritten note kits, disposable cameras, ceramic mugs, tea ritual sets, and soft goods with inbound branding textured in comfort. So we're going to do a little mini interaction here. And you could go ahead and throw this into the chat just so I can kind of see. I'm a future mom of two, and I work in a fully remote career. And I find the need to look for the most pause in my life at the end of the day after I put my son to sleep and it gets quiet in the house. But if I don't do that, I fall victim to doom scrolling. So I want to ask you, where do you need pause? Do you need it in your workday, your commute, at home, those after hour moments? I'd love to hear where you feel you need that time. You can go ahead and throw that in the chat if you feel comfortable. After hours, yep, me too. Yeah, work day, yep. So I love everybody's after hours. It's me. I find myself doom scrolling for 2 hours. I'm like, how did I get here? Yeah, awesome. So what I want to share here is that if you can answer this question for your audience, you could build merch that actually lands. All right, on to our next trend. New Gen Prep marks the evolution of sports-inspired style, where classic uniforms are reworked through a modern lifestyle lens. This is building on the momentum of our 2025 trend story. Sportscore was the trend shift from athletic influences from performance to everyday function. Now, what's once lived on the fields lives in our daily routine: travel, work, movement, and community. The energy remains sporty, but the expression is calmer, more intentional, and elevated. And you know I love my stats. So according to the Fortune Business Insights, by 2026, the global athleisure market, the intersection of sports, casual wear, and everyday lifestyle apparel, is projected to exceed 402 billion, underscoring how performance and lifestyle wear have fused into mainstream wardrobes. So what merch wins here? Rugby polos, crews, refined sweats, woven shirts, lightweight varsity layers, woven shirts, relaxed outerwear, really anything with repeat wear. And then we love pouches, pickleball and tennis carriers, and travel-ready bags. Details here are contrast stripes, heritage hues, color blocking, subdued metal hits, and materials such as canvas, cotton piqué, tartan, corduroy, and paracord. Hopefully you got all that. If not, we have it in a website. All right, let's dive into a Whitestone case study. A quick private label moment plug while we're here, but also just a great expression of new gen prep. Last year, we created a custom pickleball set as a client gift. And yes, pickleball isn't breaking news. If you're on this call, you probably play or you know somebody who plays. But the real story wasn't the sport, it was the carrier. Today, the consumer doesn't just want the equipment, they want the athleisure that travels with it. This is new gen prep in action. Sport adjacent items evolving into lifestyle accessories. That's why this merge works. It wasn't about the pickleball set itself, but it was about designing a prep inspired carrier that people actually want to wear, reuse, and build into their everyday lifestyle. But here's how we can get fun in 2026. We can add a charm, a custom zipper pull, maybe a clip on mini journal for quiet journaling after your match. And suddenly, you now have two trends pulled together: quiet revival and new gen, all living inside of one item. Can one product carry that much trend energy? Sure can. All right, we're on to our next story. Activated is the return of brands showing up IRL. After years of digital saturation and passive consumption, people want to participate again. They don't just want to see the brand moment, they want to be present, involved, and part of something happening now. Activated reflects a shift away from polished, pre programmed campaigns towards real time interaction. It's nostalgic as its behavior. Lining up, choosing, customizing, watching something get made in front of you. And here's the shift: merch is no longer the takeaway, it's the catalyst. Products are blank until activated. Patch bars, live change stitching, blind embossed personalization, charms, modular add ons. All right, so let's take a look at this trend out in the wild. Last year, Mess Hall made its New York City debut inside of Macy's Herald Square with a DIY trucker hat and beanie station. And if you joined us at our Whitestone client event in New York back in September, you experienced this firsthand. Alongside a live custom patch bar, we layered in an immersive aura photography experience. Guests received personalized aura portraits, creating a keepsake that felt deeply personal and totally unforgettable. And just this week, Whitestone was asked by a client to design a custom cowboy hat activation built to spark participation, create one of a kind of experience, and become the thing people are still talking about long after the conference ends. This is activated in real life. Brands aren't just showing up, they're being experienced. All right, so time for another poll. If you hosted an activation tomorrow, what would your audience pick first? Patch bar personalization, live stitching embroidery, custom sock and shoe bar, or a charm and accessory building? Which one do you think your audience would pick? Give you another second. All right, let's take a look. Whoa, kind of split all of all. The sock bar is not getting much love. I'll tell you, I just did a sock bar at a conference I went to, and I'm rocking those socks a lot lately. I love them. Live chain stitching. Yeah, great stuff there. All right, we're moving right along. Our next trend is called Roam Ready. Travel is no longer a milestone, it's a movement, and exploration is part of the routine. In an article published early this year by Condé Nast Traveler, they shared that their biggest travel trends of 2026. They shared their biggest travel trends of 2026. People are chasing meaning, identity, restoration, and new formats of exploring. In an age of digital saturation and endless scrolling, travelers are seeking something real, a sense of belonging that they could download, that can't be downloaded. Sorry. All right, so tell me about the merch here in this story. The merch here are products that are expected to support that lifestyle. Reduce friction, create ease. Bags are lightweight, they're modular, they're thoughtfully organized. Apparel is comfortable, versatile, and designed for long days in motion. Accessories are meant to calm and contain and simplify life on the go. Soft, structured volume built for long days in motion. So here's some product we love here. So this is the Bez. I always say their name wrong. If someone somebody on this call, please someone tell me how to pronounce them. This is the Bez rolling backpack. I absolutely love this product. If you haven't seen them, they're all over TikTok. I absolutely love the versatility of this product and the organization. A Parker and Clay jewelry wrap. This one I absolutely love. This is luxe organization and just perfect for travel. And then Samsonite's beverage caddy. This is a hands-free must-have for travel. All right. And finally, Relife, here to stay. We first called this movement back in 2025, and it's only accelerated since. Sustainability has officially moved from a nice to have to an expectation. Consumers aren't impressed by surface level claims anymore. They want real accountability, real transparency, and brands that actually give back. And honestly, when you break this story down, it's pretty simple. It could look like turning something that would have been discarded, like, for example, coffee grounds, into apparel. Or it could be as simple as giving something you already own a second life. That bag you were about to toss, add a charm. Clip on a mini water bottle, throw on a patch, and suddenly it's new again. That's Relife. Not replacing more, just making what we already have last longer. Relife in 2026 is designed for renewal, not replacement. So think upcycled canvas and wash denim, patch on patch application, overlays, visible repair, modular clip ons that refresh items people already own, accessories for your accessories, pins, brooches, scarves, and patches. All right. So I don't know if anybody has seen the new Charm robot yet. It's actually in beta testing coming out of Tokyo. But if you haven't seen this, you have to check it out. This definitely seems like another webinar topic for another day, but it definitely shows the evolution of a charm in the modern day. So before we wrap, I want to spend a few minutes on color because we can't talk about 2026 without talking about the color uproar. Pantone naming white as color of the year definitely got people talking. And honestly, we love it and I love it. At Whitestone, we believe no two stones are alike. And to me, that's exactly what Cloud Dancer represents. It's not empty, it's reset. It's a palette cleanser. It's a moment to strip things back and rebuild with intention. For 2026, color isn't about more. It's about clarity. Some palettes calm you, some energize you, some invite you to play, others ground you, and how you use them should always connect back to how you want people to feel when they interact with your brand. So let's take a look at some of our stories at Whitestone for 2026. The first one, which our color of the year is nested into, is Soft Reset. Soft Reset is all about clarity and calm. I want you to think blank canvas energy, soothing, simplified, grounded. These are the tones brands reach to when they want to feel considered, elevated, and timeless. This palette works beautifully for quiet revival moments, travel, wellness, elevated basics, and products meant to slow you down and live with you. Nothing loud, nothing rushed, just intentional design that breathes. Our next color story, and my absolute favorite, is called Primary Revival. This is the opposite energy as Reset, but it's just as intentional. There are classic primaries brought back with a fresh lens, muted enough to feel grounded and bold enough to feel joyful. This palette taps into nostalgia, play, and confidence. It's perfect for brands that want to show personality without feeling juvenile. Color that sparks connection and doesn't take life too seriously. Our next color story is called Jelly Bright. This is where things get fun. Youthful, nostalgic, sensory. These colors feel almost edible, gummy, glossy, and translucent. They're meant to be touched, layered, and experienced. This palette shines in activated moments. It's expressive, customizable, and built for participation, not perfection. And finally, we have Deep Luxe, rich, grounded, and confident. These are the colors of weight and longevity, pieces that feel premium without feeling flashy. This palette works beautifully for new gen prep and relife moments. Elevated carriers, timeless silhouettes, products designed to be worn and often kept longer. It's luxury that whispers, not shouts. So when we look at 2026 color, it's not about what's picking necessarily what's trending. It's about choosing what supports your story. All right. I hope these stories sparked ideas and got you excited as I am for what's next. My goal today was for you to walk away with a clear picture of the cultural and consumer shifts that are shaping 2026, the aesthetic movements gaining momentum, and real product examples, not just theory. So, before we close out, I'd love to know which trend stories resonated with you the most today. Go ahead and drop that in the chat. I'd love to hear which one was your favorite. So, thank you for joining us. I want you to keep an eye out for a follow up email with a link to our trend forecast and something special as a thank you for joining to spark your product ideas even further. I'm also happy to stick around to answer any questions you might have. So, I'm going to stick on and answer some questions. There was somebody while I was speaking that asked what a sock bar was. I think that's a great question. um, the sock bars that I've seen are actually, blank socks left out, and you can add patches to it. You do embroidery. It's just a really fun way to give your socks some life without them being boring. Um, it's a really great activation. I actually just participated in one at a trade show. So, if anybody has any other questions, I would absolutely love to answer them. Happy to stick around and make sure that you follow us on all of our media. Okay. First question coming in. Are there any mistakes you repeatedly see brands make when applying these trend forecasts to their own merch? Wow, that is a great question. Um, I would have to say the answer is yes, absolutely. And I think it's in two parts. The first one is that I think at times we forget the end user and that we're designing for something that you might like or a trend that you might feel is important, but you're not actually thinking about the person who's receiving the merch. I see that happen quite often. And then another way that I think that there's a mistake that's been made is kind of starting with the look before the why. So leading with, we're going to do this product in this color without taking a moment to say, okay, what's the relevancy around this and how do we design this with purpose? So those are kind of two things I think are pretty common in that aspect. Okay, I see another question in the chat. I love the primary palette reset. Oh no, I thought that was a question. Oh, I love that too. Um, it's so great to see some of the ones you guys love. Fire Revival is my fave. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I really appreciate you guys signing up. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I love to connect with everyone. Connect with Whitestone and also subscribe to our newsletter. We push out a lot of content in regards to trend throughout the year. This isn't a one-time drop. We have blogs that come out. We have really great insights. So we would love for you to be part of that newsletter that we spend a lot of time getting you that information so you're ready to go when it comes to product creation. So thanks so much. Thank you for joining. I hope everybody has a great afternoon.